Welcome to our very special lunch and dining etiquette session. Please do not begin eating until the session begins. If you have questions, I'd ask you to hold them until the serving and instructions are finished. I'm pleased and honored to present to you Dr. Marissa Guerrero, who will guide us through our meal. Remember, after lunch, you need to return your name badges and pick up your training certificates we've made for you. And welcome again. Thank you.
Okay, good afternoon, students. Welcome, or good morning. How's the day going so far? Good? Heard a lot of really good comments and feedback on today's events. If you're in the level 1 certificate, so you're in the class that did this event today, raise your hand. Let's give them a big round of applause. Outstanding job. And how many from that group are going on to the bachelor's degree? All right, so y'all know that you're going to be, part of this group that's here next year. And the reason that this is part of the workshop today, let me introduce myself first. So sorry. My name is Dr. Marisa Guerrero. I am the faculty for the Bass Orgle and also in the Level 1 certificate. Did we do the intros of the group in the back yet? Our staff and faculty? Can we have Dr. Carranza? If he wants to give a big hi to everybody. He's your faculty for the Level 1 certificate and in the Bass Orgle degree. We have Miss Amanda Del Toro, faculty also in the Level 1 certificate. We have Miss Valeria Juarez Peña. She's our academic coach for the Bass Orgle degree. We have Miss Molly Gaitan. She's our boss. She's our instructional assistant in the department. We have Miss Bianca Couvrier. She is our global learning coordinator. So those of you in the Level 1 certificate going into the bachelor's degree, you may want to consider doing a study abroad, and so she'll be the one to talk to you about that. And then we have Miss Patty Perez, our academic advisor and academic coach. You all know her very well. We have Miss Erica Botello. She is with the Career Innovation Services. Fun fact, she is a Bass Orgle alumni, so a graduate of our program. And then we have Mr. Leonel Ayala, who's newly hired with the Career Innovation. Also, fun fact, he is also an alumni of our program. We love to hire our students when we have the opportunity. Who we forget? Val is also an alumni. So as you can see, we like to hire our alumni in our department. Why? Because you're very well trained in leadership. And so one day, maybe some of you may be sitting on this side of this so I can finally retire and not have to do this presentation anymore. No, just teasing. I love to do this presentation because it's so important, okay? Part of being in leadership is you have to go eat lunch with your boss, right? You have to eat lunch with your boss, or you have to go to a conference and you walk in and all the food is laid out and you're like, oh my gosh, what am I supposed to do? Or you have to go to a gala or a charity event. This is part of being a leader, okay? When we're at home and we're in our jammies and we're eating Pizza Hut in front of the TV, we can do whatever we want. But when we're going to eat with our boss or with our, different organizations, we're on the job. And so knowing how to have really good manners at the table is also just a reflection of you as a professional. Now, we're not going to make this super stuffy, there are so many nuances and so many rules, and you can get as extensive as you want. Today, we're going to just do a basic crash course, basic dining etiquette. These are also good things to teach your children, okay? Things to have, just it's good manners in general. So as you're seeing, imagine that you're at a conference, and they're starting to come around with a salad. Do we start digging in? No, we don't start digging in. So sometimes you'll come into a conference and the food will already be served. Sometimes they'll be serving as someone's talking. It is always very important. There's a couple of housekeeping things, especially if you're like at a conference and it's a working lunch. We try, if we have to talk and visit, I guess if the biggest thing I can tell you, the takeaway is the word discreet. Everything we're going to do, we're going to try to be very discreet, very quiet. That's the best, if I can tell you any piece of advice. Okay? I'm not going to tell you not to talk because maybe you need to say something, but do you scream it across the table? Valeria, where's my phone? No, that's not good manners. Valeria, I'm so sorry. Have you seen my phone? So we're using quiet, quiet voices. If we have to get up and go to the ladies' room or the restroom, you can take your napkin, you can put it on the back of your chair, lay it neatly next to you. Do you have to announce to the whole table that you need to go to the restroom? I'm going to go to the restroom. I have to pee. I'll be back. No, you don't need to do that. You don't need to announce what you're doing. You just quietly get up from the table, excuse yourself. You can say, excuse me, and you go. Do we have our phones on the table? No. Do we have our purses on the table? No. I have mine because I'm trying to keep track of the time. Put it, ladies, in your handbag, hang it on. Sometimes they'll give you something, hang it on. Gentlemen, back pocket, just under your leg. We want to keep the phones not visible, not on the table. Nothing on the table except the things that you have in front of you. Okay? So now, here we are, right? We're going to I'm going to take you through a few things, and then we're going to kind of get started. So this is going to be kind of a working lunch. As soon as I tell you, let's begin, we're going to start the first course, okay? But again, you come into the room, you always want to, you may not know each other. You may be at a conference where you're new. So let's take a moment, right? Now this is just me because I'm going to eat. I don't want to touch everybody because my hands are clean. I'm about to eat. So you don't have to touch, everybody, but you can take a minute to, introduce yourselves. Hi, I'm so-and-so, I'm from here. How are you today? So let's do, about a minute of niceties around the table, and then we'll get started. You introduce yourselves to each other. Okay, so we've introduced ourselves to each other. The salads are here. Has everybody received their salad? Do we start eating yet? No, not yet. But in any case, we always wait till everybody has been served their food before we start eating. So we're all sitting at the table. We've arrived to the conference. We're going to go ahead and start with our napkin. Okay, so we're going to take our napkin. What happened? Oh, you can't hear me. Oh, we're not. Can you see my PowerPoint? Yeah, we're on the PowerPoint. We're going to be switching back and forth. Okay, so we're going to take our napkin. Let's see if I already have this one. I already did this. Okay, we're not to this yet. So we're going to take our napkin. We're going to unfold it. We're not going to do this. I hit myself in the face. Okay, we're not going to be super dramatic. We're just going to take it. We're going to unfold it. We're going to put it on our lap. Okay, we don't need to be super dramatic about it. Just nice. I literally slapped myself in the face with that. We don't need to do that. Okay, so now we're going to look at our place setting. Okay, forks on the left, knives and spoons on the right, bread plate. And so you may or may not have bread. I don't know if we have bread today, but if you do have bread to yourself, sometimes I do a basket of bread, right? Sometimes you may not have bread. They may put bread. I don't know what we're going to get today. If you do have individual bread, it'll be on the upper left, drink glass on the upper right. Okay? And we use our utensils from the outside in. Okay, so let's take a look. Okay, I forget, Amanda, what was the acronym that we used? BD. Oh, bread and drink. Right. Okay. So we have our drink, we have our forks from outside in. So you can see you have your smaller fork, your bigger entree fork, and etc. So I'm going to show you here on the next slide. Okay, so here you can kind of see your picture. Your salad fork, your dinner fork, your butter knife, which we don't have a butter knife here. So I'm showing you kind of like the setting. It'll be different depending on where you go. Some are very fancy. I'll show you, like, if you might go to like a super fancy wedding where they have champagne and red wine and white wine. We're not that fun here, nor do we have the budget, so you don't have all the wine glasses. But this is kind of like a simple setting, right? Your water glass, your wine glass, your soup bowl if you were to have soup, dinner knife, and soup spoon. So that's, here is your soup spoon, but we can also use this for our teaspoon. Okay, so with this said, let's go ahead and take a look at our drink, right? We have our drink. Do we ask for a Coca-Cola because we don't want tea? Okay, so what do we do if we don't like tea? We drink the water, right? You don't have to drink your tea, but we're not going to say, do you have a Fanta? Do you have a Coke that I can? No. What if we have our Alani in our purse? Can we pull out our Alani and put it on the table and start drinking it? No, let's have some restraint. You can wait 1 hour to have your Alani, right? So either if you don't like tea, have water. And so let's take a taste and see if you like it. Maybe it is sweetened, maybe it's not. Who knows? Let's see what we got. Let's see. Is it good? If you're dry like me, you like it just like that. With my daughter says it has no taste. That's how she likes it. So her question is, what do we say if we don't want ice in our drink? Okay, well, what if we're already served? What do we do? Do we ask them to take it back? I mean, we could, or we could just suck it up and take what we have there, right, for a little. So I would always say my advice is to just accept what you're being offered. And then maybe on the refill, if you could say, you know what, just tea, no more ice. We want, especially if we're in like a work setting, this is my personal opinion. Now, again, you can go out there and do what you want. I like to kind of, unless there's a definite dietary reason why we have to change things, we just will kind of, drink it the way it is. But on the refill, you can say, no ice is fine. Yes, if they come back. Oh, you have sensitive teeth. Yeah. Okay, so now we have our tea. Let's go ahead and prepare our tea the way we want to drink it. I like sweetener, and I like lemon in mine, okay? So a couple of things. Basically, this is just going to be common sense. We're going to go ahead and empty our sweetener. Are we going to take it, roll it up, and throw it on the floor? No, right? Everything's about being discreet. So we're just going to take our little wrappings just very neatly. You can put it, kind of on the side of your plate, under your plate, so they can take it with them when they take the plate, or, on the edge of your lemon plate. And then I'm also going to have some lemon. I'm going to take my fork. I'm going to grab my lemon. I don't like to put the lemon in my tea. Maybe you do. But anyways, I'm going to squeeze. Am I going to squeeze towards my partner? Or try to, and again, it's not a perfect science. I'm going to put a little lemon. And then I'm ready to go. Okay, so let's go ahead and prepare our tea. Go ahead. If you're drinking tea or lemon water, go ahead and prepare your drink. Oh, good question. I probably should have used the salad fork. I used my outside fork. Yeah, good call. Oh, good question. Yes, we haven't gone to the passing yet. Thank you, Roxanne. Yes, let's talk about passing. How does it work? Thank you, Roxanne. I forget, mine's right in front of me. So we have one sweetener per table. How do we get it to everyone around the table? Go ahead. The one that's the closest is going to grab it, grab what you want, and then pass it to the right. So let's go ahead and do that with the sweetener. Thank you, Roxanne. Go ahead and take it and pass it to the right. You're right. Yeah. While we're doing that, I'm just showing you another example of a more sophisticated table. As you can see, more items, glasses, salt, pepper, etc. Okay. As we're passing, just a couple little tips. Again, do not begin until your host gives you the instruction. Arrive 2 to 5 minutes early. Wait for your host's cue to go ahead and sit straight, and we don't really want to put elbows on the table, okay? All right, we talked a little bit about the napkin etiquette already. Okay, so for the napkin etiquette, place napkin on your lap after seated. Dab your mouth as needed. Leave napkin neatly on the left of your plate when you're done. So again, just basic stuff with the napkin. We don't want to, you know, try not to make a huge mess. I know with ladies, we have makeup, and sometimes that happens. If you feel like you got it really stained, you can always, fold it the other way and put it back in your lap. Just kind of common sense with the napkin. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and look at using the utensils, and then we will go ahead and begin our first course. Can you push play on the video?
Internationally, there are many accepted dining styles that differ from each other. And today I'm going to show you the difference between an American dining style and the continental, which is the internationally accepted formal way to eat. The American dining style involves switching your fork from your left hand to your right hand while you're eating. You pierce your food with your fork, and then you cut off a piece with your knife. You lay down your knife on the right side of your plate, switch your fork from your left hand to your right hand, and then eat.
That's the way we
During the continental dining style, your fork remains in your left hand while your knife remains in your right hand throughout the entire meal. You'd pierce the food with your fork, cut off a piece with your knife, and then directly put the food into your mouth with your fork, like this.
Okay, so again, most of us use the American style, right? You cut your food, you switch, and then you eat. But the continental is that you can use both, okay? There you go. So when we're done, we haven't really started yet, but I'll tell y'all right now, I know some of you had started, some of the signals with the forks. So to pause, it's kind of like a V. You're ready for a second plate, crossed, if it's excellent, and then of course, if you don't like the very aggressive knife through the fork, right? Now we're gonna begin. All right, so with that said, let's go ahead and begin our salads. Okay, you can begin to enjoy. And I'll be talking to you all while you are eating, but think about timing. We don't want to shove all of our food in our mouth while everybody's kind of going at a medium pace. We also don't want to be like the teeniest, tiniest bites, and then everybody has to wait for you. So kind of try to keep up with the group. So pace yourself when we're doing that. So if you would like, hold on, let me see that. Give me just a second, Roxanne. Let me see which one's next. Yes, Roxanne. Go, did you have a question? Yes, we're going to work from the outside in. We're going to show you a video right now. Go ahead. And I'm going to turn on my camera. For the salad, we're going to work from the outside in. Okay, so this is like what my daughter likes to say, taking it to the extreme, right, with the salads. We're going to work from the outside in, okay? So we're going to take... Okay, now we need to turn the volume off on the... Sorry, we have a lot of little technical... We need a technical manager when we do this. Okay, so we're going to work from the outside. This is our salad fork and our knife. Now, before we get started, we may want some dressing, right? Right, we want some salad dressing on our salad. We're going to follow the same rule as we did for the sweetener, which is whoever's closest will take the salad dressing. They will put some dressing and then pass it to the right. If you want it, take some, put some salad dressing. If not, just pass it on to the next person, and when we're done, we put it back in the center. Okay? Again, we want to kind of be mindful, we don't want to, like, you're not at home, right? We're not going to put like dressing with some salad. We're just going to kind of dabble on there. And maybe we also want to season. Some people do and don't season their salad, but same thing, if you would like the salt and pepper, all you would need to do is ask. Okay, we would ask him, would you mind, Natalia, will you pass me the salt and pepper? All right, we're going to cover this in just a moment, but remember, the salt and pepper are married. They go everywhere together. Okay, unless you're one of those married couples that don't go everywhere together. But these are the kind that do go everywhere together. Okay, and so we pass them together. Same thing with the salt and pepper. Whoever's closest can begin, and then we pass to the right. Okay, so let's take a moment to pass seasoning. If we would like seasoning, salt and pepper. Okay, and again, we are using our salad fork and our knife. Now, according to the video, the proper way is not to cut, but to fold. Now, again, like I said, my 7-year-old daughter likes to say, Mom, you're taking it to the extreme. I don't know how realistic that is, but if that's something that you can do, basically is folding, the lettuce and pushing it onto your fork without having to cut it. Okay. And again, using the American style, switching hands. Okay? Everybody passed around the dressing. Okay? So again, now cucumbers, I would say go ahead and cut, right? Because you don't want to kind of try to shove that whole thing in your mouth. Okay. And as we're eating, we're visiting, you can feel free to take a little break, put your fork and your knife, you can set them down as you're visiting or just kind of taking a break from your eating. Some of us eat a little slower. Okay. Okay, can we switch back to and then with the volume back on? Yeah, you want to put the volume on? And while we're enjoying, we're going to just watch this short video about how to sit properly. Okay.
Posture is very important, gentlemen.
And ladies.
This is a normal setting at perhaps a more higher-end restaurant or even someone's home. You're sitting down, you've settled in. Might I suggest that you do not do these particular motions? This would be a no-no. This would be a definite no-no. Another one would be sitting like this, or perhaps slouching like this. These are a big no. You want to be sitting up, comfortable for yourself, perhaps your wrists, but definitely not your elbows. And that, gentlemen,
and ladies,
would be a suggestion of how to sit correctly. So please comment, like, share, or subscribe to our videos.
I think with this one we have to stop the video. Yeah. Now let me try it. This one, it always gets kind of stuck on me. Yeah.
Posture is very important, gentlemen.
Hey, so what are you supposed to do when you need something at the table but it's pretty far away? Well, you simply ask for something to be passed because you never want to reach over anyone. So, for instance, someone has asked me to pass the salt and pepper because it's right in front of me. And as you know, salt and pepper, they always are passed together, and you pass things to the right. Thanks so much, and if you have any more etiquette questions, please leave me a comment. I'd love to answer them.
Yeah, just on the arrow on the bottom. Okay, so we're gonna wait. Continue to eat. Continue to enjoy your salad course. Okay. And so as we're continuing to eat, feel free to visit at your table. Feel free to talk to each other, to, have friendly conversation. And we'll talk about this a little bit. There are some no-nos in conversation, okay? We don't want to generally talk about politics. So, what do you think about the war in Iran, huh? Probably not very appropriate lunch conversation. What do you think about Donald Trump? Okay, we don't need to, that's not a lunch conversation. Yes, ma'am. If you want to keep the knife, that it's sturdy. Good question. Yes, that is a good question. I think generally we will just keep the knife. Yes. Um, if you're at a steakhouse, they'll generally give you like another knife. So we'll probably just use that one unless there's just for some reason like it's fallen on the floor or something that's unusable. That we'll generally use that knife. Yeah, good question. Do we get our napkin and clean it off? No, we don't want to do that. And again, these are etiquette rules for when we are in a work conference environment. Now, when you're with your family, you're at home, you know, you want to ask your server for another night. But these are generally, I think the word, like I said, we kind of want to keep it very discreet. So while we're at the table, what kinds of things can we talk about? This is always a very good time for networking. Who are you? What do you do? One question you can always ask somebody is, what project are you working on right now? It doesn't matter what field, what job, what career, everybody has something that they're working on, some project that they're working on right now. And so that's always a very good conversation starter. We also want to be mindful of everyone who's sitting at the table. Say we're engaged in a really good conversation that we see David just kind of eating his food and no one's really including him. We want to pull him into the conversation. No man left behind, right? So ask him. So David, what brings you? Are you from Laredo? Have you? Where'd you go? Where'd you go to school? Or what do you study? Where do you work? He's a police officer, correct? So he's, oh, you're a police officer. Wow. So what made you want to join this program, or why are you at this conference? And so we do want to, find ways to engage each other in professional conversation. Maybe not like, have you seen that TikTok where, okay, those are maybe not like a conference, thinking about keeping it professional and things like that. So now they're coming around and we're starting to collect the salad plates. Everybody good with salad? Yeah. So one way to not enjoy your meal is to have everybody watching you and have it recorded. So I really can't enjoy my, no, nothing says pressure like having to speak and teach while you're eating and have it recorded. But now we're at the end of the salad course, And so they're going to take your plate, and she did have a good question. I'm just going to kind of try to get the excess dressing off of it. And I might kind of lean it. Now, the other thing I can do is I can kind of lean it on. Now, you don't each have an individual lemon plate, right? So I'm kind of working with the space that I have. You know, I don't want to make a mess. I might just kind of lean it on the fork next to me so I don't get dressing all over everything. Again, it's kind of common sense and trying to be discreet. If we had additional, you could always have them take it, but we probably need the knife for the next course. And then we're going to wait for the next course. Now, as the next course is coming around, let's say that they bring Jasmine her plate first. It looks really good. So can she go ahead and start digging in as soon as she gets her plate? No, you want to wait until, Jasmine goes, really? You want to wait until everybody at the table has their plate served, that course served. Now, yes. He's asking, what do you do if you're at a conference and everyone's on a different schedule? So let's think about the environment. Okay, so if it's like cafeteria style, let's say, where everybody's bringing box lunches or it's just tables that you grab your food, you come down and you sit down and then you go, that would be different. Because that's more of a grab and go kind of situation. Now, if you're sitting together where like you're at a dinner together, or if you're at a conference where there's a keynote and everybody's being served, then yes, you would wait. There are some instances, like you might go to a conference where it's kind of like a buffet lunch, and people are coming in and they're going. We've been to some of those, and I think that would be okay. Like say you're with 3 people and there's some more seats here and you don't know if people are going to come or not come. That's okay. But when it's a formal seated, you want to go ahead and wait until everybody gets their plate. Good question. Jasmine says, what if they say, go ahead? Okay, 2 things. If you're at a dinner with, like, let's say your boss. So let's say you go with your boss, there's 10 of you. Generally the host, and think about this because there may be a time where you're the host. You've invited 10 people to lunch. You're all sitting at the table and they're all staring at you. You need to tell them, please go ahead and begin. Please go ahead and enjoy. Now, there may be a time where you go to a luncheon, you're with a group of people, you're with your boss, you're with your office staff, and let's say I'm with Miss Amanda, had to order the lobster macaroni with, the sirloin, and we all got club sandwiches, right? And so we got our club sandwiches in about 3 minutes, and everyone's staring at Amanda like, gee, thanks, you ordered the lobster macaroni, now we have to wait for your food. In that case, Miss Amanda might say, my food's going to take a long time. You all, please go ahead and start. Go ahead and enjoy. And then you might say, are you sure we can wait? We go to this song and dance, right? We go to this. Are you sure we can wait? And she says, no, I insist. And then, everybody else can go ahead and start. I will tell you a little funny story, completely unrelated. And Miss Bianca could probably share more interesting stories. But dining is very cultural. So we're kind of sharing the American culture. But one funny story, Miss Amanda and I traveled to Greece last summer to prepare for the study abroad, and we had a dinner with our guests. And so we walk in, and, this is Camilo, right? He was our guide. We all walk in, and he sits down, and he just walks in, and he's like, mm-mm. And he's going on. And the man's like, and he's like, and the man's like, and he's like, okay. And he sits down. And I'm like, gosh, Camilo, is everything okay? Like, is something wrong? Or he's like, no, everything's fine. Why? Y'all just had a very heated exchange. Was the food wrong or did something happen that wasn't supposed to happen? He's like, no, that's just what we do. I was like, well, what do you mean? He goes, well, what we do is we come into a restaurant and we say, I brought my friends, they're very important people. Is this the best that you can do? And he says, yes, this is the best that I can do. It's very nice. We prepared it. And I say, okay, that's fine. And that's our culture. I was like, so you're fussy? He goes, I guess. He's like, what does fussy mean? I'm like, kind of fussy, like kind of picky. He's like, yes, but no one means it. It's just, that's how we're communicating. And I'm like, oh my gosh, if you were in America, we would be like, what did I do wrong? Why isn't it to your liking? And I don't know, Miss Bianca, she says I always put her on the spot. But I'm going to come over here and give her the mic for a second. Miss Bianca, any other like interesting from your travels across the world? She says I always do this to her. One time I had her sing God Bless America at a Rotary meeting. But any other, Miss Bianca, like an interesting story from your travel abroad with eating?
So I traveled, thank you, Dr. Guerrero. I traveled to China during Thanksgiving break, and the eating situations were a little bit different in the sense that they use the lazy Susan a lot. Who has experience using the round thing, the round dish in the middle where you spin the food, the lazy Susan? Anybody? And so I was the only American on the tour. A lot of people were from Australia, different countries. And so the Lazy Susan was at all the main restaurants. And so in China, they don't serve each plate individually. They do family style, and they put the large dishes on the Lazy Susan. And it was funny because everywhere we ate, it's like they knew, maybe they had something like, you're American, but they always started the food after me. And so it rotates in one direction, and you have to be calm and wait for your turn. And by the time, and then they would put a different plate and a different plate. And by the time it made it around to you, you're like, I'm hungry. And so the experience of just also culturally waiting, you can't just, okay, I'm going to just reach over here, or they're taking too long over there. Can you pass this one instead? You had to just wait for it to come around. But I just thought it was funny because every restaurant, I'm like, okay, this time I'm going to sit on that side. This time I'm going to try to find a different place, and they would always start the dish right after me. So I'm like, okay, I don't know if it's because I'm screaming United States or but that was one experience, and I've had experiences. I recently traveled to Morocco for spring break. We ate in the middle of the Medina and the souks, and it was during Ramadan, cultural, religious, they cannot eat from sunrise until sunset. And so the men, they're cooking the food for us, and they're happy, and they're dancing, and they're singing, and they're giving us the best hospitality experience that they can. And they haven't eaten all day. They can't even drink water or tea. And so we're ready to eat. They're serving us first, and we're eating in front of them. And then you hear the call to prayer. It's time for them to break their fast. And it was such an amazing experience to see them. They break their fast by eating the dates, and just the brotherhood and that they pass to each other. And you're very thankful because you don't think about those things that in other cultures, even though I haven't eaten all day, I haven't had water, I'm not going to be grumpy, I'm not going to be hangry, I'm going to provide you the best service. And so you experience those things traveling or anywhere, any cultural restaurant that you visit. So those are some experiences.
Thank you. Anyone let's give her a hand. That was a good example. Anyone who knows me, who's worked with me, knows I'm always going to put people on the spot, right? I throw them on stage and make them speak because they have good stories to share. Okay, and so right now the wait staff is coming around. They're going to be serving, and as you see, you have bread on your plate, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. That's okay. As we're being served, just a couple of things. Again, avoid controversial topics. Keep your phone silenced and off the table. What if you have to take a phone call? Right? Sometimes it happens. We have kids, things going on, emergencies. Just excuse yourself from the table, okay? Excuse me, I'll be right back. Step outside and take your phone call. Do we take our phone call at the table, talking really, what do you mean? What do you mean you forgot your homework? I told you it was, no, we're not going to do all that. We're going to stand up and quietly take our phone call and engage everyone at the table. I feel like I'm missing one. Let me see. We already did the bread. Oh, no, we didn't do the bread. Okay.
Hey, do you want to know what's considered the most proper way to butter your toast and eat it? Well, here it is. First, take some butter from the communal dish and then put that onto your plate. Don't double dip back into the butter. Okay, you put it on your plate, your knife down, break off one piece at a time of your toast. One piece, take a little bit of your butter, your knife back down on your plate, and then you eat it. one piece at a time, start over, butter one piece at a time, eat it one piece at a time. You've got this.
All right. So now our entree is coming around. We'll go and switch back to the video. Okay. So I'm looking here at my, thank you, at my entree. Okay. We might want to turn the. Okay, so I'm looking at my entree. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and take my knife and I'm just going to put it back on my plate. All right. And we're working from the outside in. Now we're going to this fork. Okay. But before I get started, I'm taking a look at my plate. I have mashed potatoes. I have a chicken with a cream sauce, mixed veggies, and bread. But I don't like vegetables. What do? Push them to the side, don't eat them. First off, we're going to be grown-ups and maybe try it, right? But don't feel that you need to force yourself to eat something that you don't want to eat. But we also don't want to make a big fuss. Ma'am, can you give me more mashed potatoes instead? Or can you take this plate and take the veggies off? Okay, we're not 7 years old. Like we can deal with it, right? So if we don't like something, maybe try it. Make sure that we don't like it before we say we don't like it. And we want to really consume what's served to us unless there's a dietary reason that we cannot. Dietary reason does not mean I'm on a diet. I prefer low carb, or I prefer this, I prefer that. Now, many times at conferences, before you go, they'll ask you if you have dietary restrictions. And so, if you're allergic to something, definitely don't force yourself to eat something that you're allergic to. If you're allergic to shellfish or you're allergic to something, obviously, don't eat that, don't consume that. Many times they'll ask you before, but if it's just something that you just don't really like, you don't care for, we're going to kind of try to power through this lunch as much as we can. We're not going to ask to bring something else. Now, if you're at a restaurant, obviously order what you want, but if we're in a setting like this, we're going to go ahead and consume and enjoy what's being served to us. And so if everyone at your table has received their plate, then we will wait for our host, which is me, to say, enjoy, right? You may go ahead and start. And those, some of you may not. Does everybody have their plates? Okay, so if your table, everybody has already received their plate, you may go ahead and begin, okay? For those of us that are waiting, we're still kind of waiting a bit. They're coming around. Now, again, we talked a little bit about the bread and there's butter. Do you all have just one butter per table? Yes? Okay. Now, again, remember the video. Whoever's closest can grab the butter. Okay? And again, you're going to take the pat of butter and you're going to place it on your plate. You're not going to take your bread, we're not going to take our bread, cut it like a biscuit, butter the whole thing up, we're not going to do any of that. We're going to take a little pat of butter, we'll place it on our table, our plate, and pass the butter around. Okay? And then as you're ready to begin enjoying your bread, remember, we're not going to butter the whole bread at once. We're going to cut a piece of bread as we're ready to consume it, little bites, and taking little pats of butter and buttering our bread and enjoying it that way, okay? Now, on our main protein, are we going to cut the whole piece of chicken up so that we're ready to consume it? So say yes. So no, for our protein, as we're ready to start consuming it, we're going to, or your whatever main dish it is, we're going to cut bite-sized pieces. And as I like to tell my daughter, little bites, right? We don't need to cut big, huge chunks because then it's hard to chew, right? We want to kind of be discreet and eating, with good manners. So little bites, whatever bite works for you. And again, using the American style cutting and switching and then enjoy. Jimmy? He says, if you don't like your food touching each other, is it okay to separate it? Again, I think discreet is kind of the word here. So, I mean, if you want to kind of pull your chicken out and kind of, moving your potatoes to the side, I think that would be fine. Again, we don't want to make a big fuss, right? Like ask for another plate or ask them to remove something. How you work with your plate, as long as, again, it's nice and quiet and nice and discreet, I think is fine. And again, eating what's in front of us, we don't have to eat everything, but at least trying it. We had the same question last year. So I might let Jimmy kind of weigh in on this, because he is a person that cooks. Generally, just depending on the cooking styles, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jimmy, sometimes the chicken will just have that color, especially if it's smoked or braised in some way. What do you think? You have to remember, with different techniques, that, really, and again, I'll probably call on Jimmy, with chicken, you're really looking at firmness. So if you're in doubt about your poultry, feel the firmness of it. Do you see how that feels nice and firm? Right? If you were to press on that chicken and it would feel like, kind of like gelatinous on the inside, like your palm, or on the inside, if you saw kind of like a little wetness or a little jello texture, gelatinous, that would be undercooked. But when you touch this chicken, it's very firm all the way through. We can tell that it is cooked well. It's cooked all the way through. But many cooking styles will render the juices into the meat, and that will give it that coloration. I know a lot of times people think, oh, my chicken's pink. It's just the way it's cooked. It's not raw, right? But if you're ever in doubt, look at that color on the inside. You can see here, the texture is very firm. Now, if you saw like a little, I don't know with the camera here, but if you were to see it kind of like jello on the inside, very pink, then it would be undercooked. How is everybody's food? Good? Does anybody want to share maybe like the fanciest or most nerve-wracking dinner they ever had to attend? Miss Amanda, I'm looking at you because I like when you tell that story about I'll go that way, about the folks from Japan who went to La Posada. I'm going to take the mic over to her. So Miss Amanda has a really interesting story that I like when she shares. And again, it's about different cultures, right? Something to think about, as you're in your organizations, if you have folks with different cultures, different things, and you're preparing to entertain them. Those are always things to be mindful of. So I'm going to let her share. I know she's eating. Oh, okay. And Sally, yeah, that's true. Uh-oh. Sally's on the spot.
So when I first started working, one of the first jobs I ever had was at La Posada Hotel. And at La Posada Hotel, everybody's here familiar with La Posada Hotel downtown? So one year, and I look at Sally because I used to work with Sally there, and Sally was actually the banquet and catering director there.
And at the time, I was the director of guest services, and one of our sales managers came and told us that we had to host a dinner for the ambassador of Japan. Do you remember that time? And we had like 2 weeks to prepare for this event, and nobody knew about the Japanese culture. All they told us was that they're very superstitious, and they get offended very easily. And they were here to try and I think strike up some deal with the city for import-export purposes. And depending on how the meetings went and our performance, I guess, right, it could be beneficial to the city or not. So we had 2 weeks to kind of prepare for the event, and we literally got crammed into a room for a week to learn about Japanese culture, about the bowing and how to properly bow. We learned a few sayings. I think we went through the hotel removing superstitious numbers, because I think 4 is one of the numbers that they were superstitious about. And our presidential suites at that time were on the 4th floor, and the room number was 464. So that was something that we had to take in consideration. And then, of course, the plates we were going to serve, the entrees we were going to serve, the timing of it, who we were going to ask to work, right? Because you want your best staff working these type of events, because you never know when something's not going to sit well. So it's choosing the staff, doing run-throughs right before practicing. Was all very important that day. But at the end of the night, and I remember we ended up ordering, what was it called? Sake? It was like fermented rice water or something. Rice wine, yes. And at the end of the night, I think it went well, and then they were all, at the end of the night, were happy and probably a little on the buzzing side. And then singing, and it ends up that we're all looking to connect and have fun and make network for different purposes, and we come together purposefully and intentionally to get to know each other and be respectful of each other's cultures. Things can work out beautifully. Yeah.
So thank you, Ms. Amanda, for sharing. We're still enjoying our food, again, taking pauses as we need. Now, noticing some of us are getting our dessert. What am I going to tell you about when to start eating it?
When everyone else is done and we all have our dessert.
When everyone's done and it's so tempting because it looks so good, though. I want to dig in. We need to wait. At the same time, mind you that everybody's waiting for you to finish so they can enjoy their dessert. Right, so some of us I'm a slow eater, and it doesn't help that I talk a lot, so I can tend to drag out the lunch. But yes, now just another thing to kind of keep in mind. Let's say you have to go somewhere new, a different country, a different city, a different culture, and you're not sure if you're going to like the food, or you're not sure what to expect. Do your research whenever you can. If you're going to a new restaurant in a new city, go and look at the menu. What kind of food do they have? Maybe you're going to go to a sushi restaurant. What is it? What am I going to eat? Always, you can always kind of do those things ahead of time so that you can kind of be mentally prepared. If you're a conference, usually, sometimes in the conferences, they'll have the agendas, they'll have the menus and things like that. So again, we're continuing to enjoy. Some of us, as we're finishing, they're bringing us our desserts, and we're just patiently waiting, enjoying. If you did receive your dessert, other people are eating, and you need a little break, this might be a nice time to take a little break, right? Might just chat. meal. And so again, how we can, let them know is just to kind of, you want to play that video for us one more time? Just to show these are the different kind of symbols or, not symbols, but I guess gestures that we can, oh, no, I'm so sorry, I was, yeah, the video. Thank you so much. That we're finishing up our meal. I'm going to get a couple more bites in because I've been talking and I didn't really eat. Okay. So we're kind of laying our flatware over to let them know that we've finished. Okay. I'm going to take another bite. Okay. If everyone at your table has finished and they have taken your entrees, you can kind of nod to each other that let's go ahead and start dessert, right? Sometimes at this sometimes at this juncture they may offer coffee. That happens sometimes. They may have coffee with the dessert, which is its whole other little process, right? Yes, you can. Yes. So this is a question we always get with the dessert. So-and-so doesn't want their dessert. Can I eat it? Well, again, when we're at a work function, we probably want to have, a little bit of restraints, right? Probably, oh, no, thank you, Now, if you're with your family, it's no holds bar. You don't want that dessert? I'm going to take it home or I'm going to eat it, right? But if we're at a work function, I would say consider, read the room. If you're with your colleagues from work, you're with your boss, you're with a conference, probably not appropriate. If you're with family, close friends, maybe your work friends, kind of, it's just a casual lunch, you went to Olive Garden, like that's different, right? But if it's more of a work function, probably not. One thing that we didn't get served today, in case you do ever have, is the soup, right? So with the soup spoon, one thing that I found interesting is that we don't kind of, take the soup and kind of, it's more of a gentle, let me see if I can, it's more of a gentle out and in, right? So let's pretend this is my soup, right? I don't want it would be kind of away from you and then in. Just a little bit to fill your spoon, and then that would be with the spoon. Trying to think if we covered. We covered the passing, the bread, the salt, pepper, the tea, butter. Any questions so far as we're enjoying our desserts? Good. Do you all feel a little bit more confident if you get asked out to a lunch that you know where your fork goes, where your cup goes, how to put your napkin in your lap? And again, this is just a very condensed, quick training on dining etiquette. It can get a lot more, again, as you get more courses. There's, you may go to fancy restaurants where there's multiple courses They have an appetizer, and then they have a salad, and then they have a soup. But we're just kind of covering the basics here. Okay, I'm going to pretend that they took my plate. Just move it out of the way here. Now, do you notice, folks, if you look at my setting, do you notice as the courses are being carried that we're losing the silverware, right? Because we started from the outside in. So now I'm using my last fork for my dessert, okay? And again, same thing, kind of like a salad. There's no right or wrong way. There can be lots of desserts that you get. You can get fruit, you may get ice cream, you know, whatever it is. I think the biggest takeaway is small bites, discreet. You know, we don't want to, oh, let me get a big old, let me slurp everything off the top. And, you know, it's just being discreet, you know, small bites. Dainty. So what if we have all the desserts out on the table when we sit down? Sometimes it happens at a conference, right? You go and you sit and your dessert and your salad, everything's already kind of laid out. Can you take a bite of the dessert? You just take a little bite? No, we want to wait. Yes, no. You know, even if everything's set out, we do want to wait and save dessert for last. Stay with the courses in the correct order. I'm trying really hard to do only 3 bites of my dessert. So again, kind of key takeaways, just to kind of to wrap up. Again, if I was one word that you learned today about dining etiquette is what? Discreet. Discreet. There's not necessarily, you know, always the right answer. It's just being very discreet. You know, if you notice somebody has a little bit of spinach, you know, in their teeth, you're not going to be like, Sally, something in your teeth. Let me see. Come here. No, we don't need to do all that. You know, she's next to you. You can just be like, you know, very, very discreet. Okay. We don't need to announce when we're going to the restroom. We don't need to announce how dry the chicken is. If it will, I'm not saying this one is. I'm just saying we don't have to announce that we don't like it. We don't have to announce, oh, cheesecake. Oh, you know, just being discreet. Okay. Are there any questions? I feel like y'all didn't have a lot of questions, which is good because my brain is fried. You were hungry? Good. Great. Jimmy. Who's Jimmy? Jimmy wasn't here. Jimmy who? Good question. Do we have a sign-in sheet in the beginning, in the registration table? Okay. So, congratulations. You graduated from Dr. G's Dining Etiquette 101. Very simple class. But hopefully this does help you. I'm going to ask you all that you can kind of loosen up now and enjoy the rest of your lunch and visit with your classmates and your friends. And I'm not sure if this is the end of the presentation, but I'll let y'all enjoy. But I do want to thank you all. I do want to give again a very big thank you to our students in the the POFD Class, I want to give a big, huge thank you to Ms. Amanda Del Toro, who organized this and facilitated it with her students. We give her a big hand. It's a lot of work. She did an outstanding job. Thank you to Ms. Smalley, who we know is always working behind the scenes to make sure everything gets done on time. Let's give her a big, huge round of applause. And to all the students there in the back in our class, you all did an amazing job. I'm very happy with how everything turned out, so give yourselves a round of applause. Wonderful, wonderful job. And so that concludes my presentation. And I'm going to turn it, I don't know who's taking back over the mic here. Or am I closing out? Oh, Jack's going to come. I'm going to call Jack back up and continue to eat, continue to enjoy the rest of your meal. Now, when we are done, we finished our dessert, we finished everything, we are done. We're going to take our napkin now and just rest it on the table. We're not going to throw it into right on top of everything that's all gooey or anything like that. We're just going to rest on the table to signal that we're done. All right? And with that, thank you very much. I'll turn it back over to Jack.
Thank you, Dr. Guerrero. Wasn't she great? Oh, she asked if there were questions. Does anyone else have any questions for Dr. Guerrero? If there's no questions, we're going to continue and have another little raffle before we go. Was Ruby going to come? While we're still preparing for the raffle, remember when you're finished eating and you're going to leave, remember to stop at the back, turn in your name badge, and pick up your certificate, your training certificate. Ruby's coming or not?
Hello, can I have everyone's attention? Can you guys have your tickets ready? We're gonna do 4 raffles. Yes. Who? Who? Was it just one person or was it all of you? Okay, would you like new tickets? Are you sure? Okay. Okay. Alrighty, we're gonna begin with our first raffle. Number 2774. Thank you. Okay, our second raffle. Number 2760. All right, we got 2 raffles more. Okay, next winner. Next winner is 2746. All right, guys, so let's see. Okay, our final prize is a gift card, so let's see who wins. Yeah, just keep going. A couple Number 2800. Oh, it's okay. Alrighty, thank you guys so much for coming. When you guys are all ready, certificates will be in the back, as well as I would ask you guys if you guys can please return your name tags. You can keep your name, your card, but just return the plastics. They're gonna be in the back. Thank you guys.
Just want to thank everybody again, thank our professors, and thank all of the members of the Leadership Certificate cards for this participation. Thank you for helping us make this possible.